failure or missing an opportunity is actually a way for you to see where you belong and where you want to be and where you need to be. Hi guys, my name is andiswa.mojapelo and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I really hope you like it and that you enjoy the content. We talk about all things related to money and adulting. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for the support that you've been giving me and the constant feedback, watching the videos, liking them, sharing them with your friends. I honestly really do appreciate it. So today we are doing another sit down video. So I decided to do one spontaneously a couple of weeks back and you guys gave it a lot of love. So it has a lot of watch hours on my channel. So you guys obviously enjoyed it. And I thought, why not do another one and talk about something else? And also, I think just in general, it gives everyone an opportunity to get to know me, what I'm about, my experiences, my take on things other than finance, etc. So today I'm going to be talking about surviving umgowo wasevasithi. Many are familiar with this, and if you are not familiar with umgowo wasevasithi, then you are a very fortunate child, and I really envy you. But I think at some point, the majority of us have gone through academic struggles, we've gone through academic failures, especially at that point in our lives. And for some of us, this is the first time we encounter something like this. So I wanted to chat through my experience, what I experienced, and as well as what I took from that. Okay. So before we end up at the course that chowed me, let me just speak about what I was doing there and how I ended up there. And I think the moral of this part of the story, guys, is that please give your kids career guidance and please be open to chatting to people that are younger than you about different career spheres. Anyway, so for the longest of time, I was obsessed with personal finance, okay, as long as I can remember. And I've always just wanted to help people with their finances, even at a young age. I remember I used to go to the bank with my mom, and there used to be these consultants or like advisors at the time who used to sit in these offices, and my mom would go there and she'd sit down with them and she'd like ask them for advice on saving or for advice on investments or whatever else. I was too young to figure it out, but all I knew is that we would go to the bank and she would sit down with these people, she would ask them questions, and they looked very knowledgeable. They were like they were on top of their game. I loved the uniform. The ladies were wearing like pencil skirts with heels, and it was just a vibe for me, okay? And I wanted to be there. Like I wanted to give people answers. And I would see like really old women also like crawl up to those advisors and ask them for help. And I was like, oh wow, like they're like knight in shining armors, they have all the money answers, and I want to be them. So for the longest of time, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in a branch at a bank, and I wanted to sit down at one of those desks and help people as they walk in. Those were my career aspirations. Don't judge me. So I went into varsity with that mentality, and then in grade 11, I think. I did really well in high school. I was like top three, not three type of thing when it came to my subjects, especially maths and accounting. And ecos and stuff like that. So when it came to deciding my career path, I obviously sat with like some of my teachers who were very fond of me. And then, they would ask me, what do you want to become? And then I told them confidently, I want to be one of those ladies who sit at the bank, either the bank teller who gives people cash, or I want to be the person who answers questions, who sit at one of those desks. And then they looked at me like, really? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, you want to be a financial advisor? And I'm like, oh, that's what they called. Yes. That's what I want to do. And it made sense to me. A financial advisor is someone who advises people on their finances. That's exactly what I want to do. Ike Sharp, Ugel is very confident with her choices. And then my teachers were like, no, you are not going to do that. And I was like, why? And then they said, because, sometimes in most cases, those people don't have formal qualifications. They've got matric. You're doing exceptionally well in maths and accounting. So, you could do anything, honestly, with the marks that you have. And I was like, well, the anything that I want is that. And then they were like, no. That's going to be wasted potential, I remember. So, don't do that. Rather go for something like actuarial science or something like becoming a chartered accountant. So then I was like, and then they said, I think they convinced me when they were like, yo, like chartered accountants and actuarial scientists make a lot of money and, they have a lot of opportunities, and they made it sound really great. So then I thought, okay, cool. Then, I'll be a chartered accountant because I asked like which one is more related to helping people with their finances, and then I was given that option. So I said, okay, sharp, I'm going to be a chartered accountant. So that's how I landed up in the course that child. So I decided that's what I was going to do. I got accepted with my grade 11 results, and then I went to varsity. First year was okay, to be honest, especially the first semester. I think like the only heartache I had was adjusting to my 90s becoming like 70s, which was still distinctions. So I was like, oh, I'm doing badly. Little did I know what was coming. But then that's the only thing I had to adjust to. Second semester of first year was okay, getting into the thick of things. But even then, like I could still survive. I was still doing okay. So that was also manageable, but obviously had to put in a bit more effort. And I had to put in like more now because things were getting a bit more difficult, which I didn't mind doing. And then, so that was that. And then in second year, that's when things started getting a bit tight. So in second year, I had my modules, like with my other modules, and then I had that module that you saw on my thumbnail, which is called GAP. So the people who did that course will be familiar with it. Your things started getting complicated. So initially, I was doing semester modules, okay, which I think are very closely aligned to how you do subjects at school, in the sense that at school you do subjects and then you do like a term test or based on that information. So you take in information, you are tested at the end of the term. Then you take in information, you are tested at the end of the term, and you sort of get to compartmentalize your information in that way. That's what semester modules like sort of depicted for me. But then now, this was my first experience with an annual module. There was a lot of information to take in. I didn't understand the information. Like it was very challenging for me. And initially, I did try, but okay, yes, I could have tried harder, but I did try a lot to try and navigate this. And, quite a number of us were struggling with that module, and I was no different. And then, anyway, fast forward to the end of that year, I did not pass that module. And in the nature of it being an annual module, meant that I added another year to my degree. I was devastated. And I was devastated and I was disappointed, but another part of me felt like maybe I need to try harder, maybe I need to try another strategy. I know what I'm capable of and I haven't given it my all. And as much as I was disappointed, but I still had that fighting spirit in me that I'm just going to dust myself up and I'm going to go again. I won't be the first person to not complete their degree in record time. When you're consoling yourself and you're like, it's going to be fine, it's going to be okay, you've still got like some fuel in you to push harder. And, I was like, the next time I write this exam next year, I'm going to get a distinction in it. It's going to know me. When you tell your modules, yay, when you're going to know me. Yeah, that was me and my GAP module. And then I spoke to my mom about it, and she was like, okay, no, don't worry. She was very supportive. Don't worry. I mean, you've never had trouble in school before. I'm sure this is just a hiccup. You're going to be fine. And I also told myself, I'm just going to be fine. And next time, I'm going to give it my all. And I'm also telling myself that in the following year, I would have that module and a few others only. So I'd actually have more capacity to concentrate towards this annual module, and everything was going to be okay. I was going to forget this ever happened, and everything was going to be hunky dory. Guys, I was so serious that even in that December, I was studying. Like in between the other things that I had to do, I was also studying because I was like, next year I'm showing this module flames. It's gonna know me. Then I go into that year. I started attending TATs, and I was like, trying to get to know the tutors, getting help, giving it my all, like, changing study strategies and everything. I was like, this is the year, this is my year, this module is going to know. The tests were going okay-ish, and then towards the end of the year, they started going south. But even then, I was hopeful. Like I got DP, and DP is basically the mark that you need in order to write the exam. I got that, which I struggled with in the previous year. So then I was like, I know, I'm in. We are doing this thing, ne? So then I got my DP and I went into the exam. And I studied, guys. Like I really studied. And then came results time in that year. So it's an annual module, right? So you get your results towards the end of the year. Results come, I'm confident, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to nail it. Did the result not come back as failed? And I was like, yo, like what's going on? And the result comes back as failed. Guys, like my heart sank. When the mark is so low, like I'm telling you guys about my struggles, but I'm not even going to tell you. The mark was low. For varsity students, the mark was so low that you couldn't try again in that same year. That's how low it was. You'll understand what I mean. And my heart, I was shattered. I was shattered because I didn't understand. Like I gave it everything that I had, everything that was in me was going towards preparing for that exam and making sure that, that I passed. And it was as if somebody else must have written that exam. That's how low the mark was. And what this meant for me and in terms of when I would complete my degree was just insane. And I just imagined all the people around me asking me, Haibo, like, why ungagqibi, ugqiba nini? The people, like, you guys know, like, when are you finishing? When are you going to start working? You guys know that very few people are involved in paying your fees, but when it comes to taking a recon of how long you have left, everybody's there trying to like find out when you are graduating. And I was just devastated in my, like, I just couldn't believe what happened. And, I felt like a failure. I felt like a letdown. I felt like I had disappointed my mom. I felt like she was counting the years and now I was adding on a burden to her. I felt like, my brothers who were supporting her support me, my uncle, my aunt, like everyone was just going to be super disappointed. And I was such a letdown. And I felt stupid for the first time in my life. And I just didn't understand what was going on, guys. Like I could spend the entire video discussing the emotions that I was going through. But I think the one thing that hurt the most is that I really, really wanted this to go well and that I felt like I really contributed what I could to it going well. And I just didn't know what more I had to do. Like, what did I have to do differently? So, I spoke to my mom. Yo, don't go, guys. Like, I spoke to my mom. My mom was so concerned about where, like, the emotional space and the headspace that I was at that she later told me that she was like, oh my God, I thought you'd like do something, like commit suicide or something like that. And it's just because I was very quiet and I was just analyzing and I realize now in hindsight that I had never in my life tried to achieve something and do everything in the book to achieve it and not achieve it. I had always added one and one and got two. And now I added five and one. And instead of getting six and above, I got two. And I just didn't understand. The maths didn't make sense. And in that year, like I was obviously sad and all of that. And it really helped that I had a holiday job so I could get a bit distracted in that year. But needless to say, how I got over it, or rather how I moved forward from that, was at the end of the year in that December, I spoke to a cousin of mine who was doing his honors in accounting at the time. And we chatted about what had happened in the year. And then interestingly enough, and this is why I love conversations because you get questions that come up that you wouldn't have thought about on your own, like having a conversation with yourself. And he was just like to me, instead of asking me about the marks and the exams, he was just like to me, why do you want to become a chartered accountant? And I was like, hmm? He's like, why do you want to become a chartered accountant? And then I said, no, the exam was difficult. No, 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 no. No. And I don't understand what happened. And it's like, Andiswa, why do you want to become a chartered accountant? And I was like, well, there's very few professionals in the country. And, if I'm a female and I'm black and I had all these textbook answers for why it made sense for me to want to become one, but I couldn't explain why I wanted to become one, if that makes sense. So then he's like, okay, since this question is like, yeah, Kohlula, you are struggling to answer it. Let me ask you another one. Why, or rather, when did you decide that you want to become a chartered accountant? And then I said, well, and I just my way. And then he's like to me, there's certain things in life, particularly in academics, that you can't just achieve because you feel like achieving them. And I'm not in any way saying that you didn't work hard or any of that, but I'm just saying that there are some things in life that are just going to need you to really push. And you need to want to push. You need to, in everything in you, understand why you are pushing in order to put in the effort, and this happens to be one of them. And I've carried that with me, that advice in everything that I do. And I feel like now as well, there's things like CFA, getting your PhD, getting your CFA, and all of those things that you don't just like feel like getting them and just get them. You need to, with everything in you, want to get it, understand why you want to get it. And with everything in you, like see yourself there and be willing to sacrifice for it and all of those other things, right? And I didn't necessarily want to be in that space. I ended up there, and then I thought it would really be cool if I could end up there, right? And guys, I'm not in any way saying that if you are struggling with this or you are struggling with an academic course, maybe you don't want to do it. No, you could be struggling because you're not studying. You could be struggling because you're not putting enough effort. Okay, that is the reason. But for me, in that space, I was putting in effort. I was putting in everything that I had in me to put in, but it was not working out. And I'm not saying that it was not working out because I didn't want to do it, but there were other things that I really wanted to do as well that maybe I could push myself even further because I genuinely wanted to do them. Anyway, that conversation for me was like a changing point, and we started talking about what I wanted to do initially, right? You know, that work at the bank thing. And he explained to me, things like economics and things like finance and things like financial planning that I was not exposed to before. And I then decided to change my major from accounting in the following year. So I left accounting and I decided to do economics instead. And I was really enjoying economics. I did a double major, so I had a like twice the number of no, in fact, three times the amount of work as I did in the previous year. But I really flourished. Okay, like I gave it my all. I was enjoying the modules. I was even like watching extra videos on some of the topics that interested me in economics because I wanted to understand them more. I found myself like spending time with lecturers sometimes to understand and break down certain concepts and all of those things. And I did really, really well. And I managed to make that my final year because I had taken double major and then I graduated with a BCom economics instead of accounting. Now, I'm going to repeat what I said in the beginning. I'm not saying that your story needs to end like mine. And I'm not saying that that's always the best option to take when you are struggling. Like I said, there could be other reasons. But I also think like it's very important, or rather for me, I was very proud of myself for like not persisting to achieve this just to prove a point, for not pushing on for this thing because I wanted to show it that I can do it, or I wanted to show people that I can become, a CA, even when I genuinely didn't want to become one, or I didn't want to do the work that a CA would do. And I'm glad that I saw beyond that and I understood beyond that, that look, if I was going to, and I'm not saying that if you change, you pass, definitely. I mean, economics was challenging. And I've done other things in my life as well in academics post my degree that are challenging. But I made sure that I always aligned them to what I wanted to do. I knew why I was doing something and I gave it my all, understanding fully what the outcome was or what I was hoping to get out of it. And for that, for me, was a pivotal change. And I've tried to incorporate that in everything that I do. And honestly, if you made it to this part of the video, thank you so much for watching the entire video. And I think that if there's something that you should take away, it's this theory of mine that if we are all able and capable of doing what we genuinely want to do, like doing what we see as purposeful and what we are passionate about, then we'd all be in a happier place. We'd all be happier people. And sometimes I think that we tend to have a lot of friction in what we do in life, whether it's a job or a course or something like that, because we're sitting in positions that we don't necessarily want to be in, but we found ourselves there. So we sort of push and shrug to make it work. Or we are sitting in classrooms that we don't want to be in, but we just like shrug and push to make it work because of circumstance. And yes, sometimes circumstance forces you to be there and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm not disputing that. But sometimes, just sometimes, failure or missing an opportunity is actually a way for you to see where you belong and where you want to be and where you need to be. And that was what was pivotal for me when it came to my failure. It sort of forced me to refocus and rethink and reconsider what I thought I knew and start asking myself some difficult questions. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a huge thumbs up and also share in the comment section, what are some of the challenges that you faced? How did you overcome them? And what did failure teach you? I think that's a very important question to ask so that we can learn from each other as well. Don't forget to give me a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so I can see you in the next one. Bye.